Welcome back. Today we will be talking about essential discontinuity evaluating limits. So let's get started. For question number 1, we know from the graph that there is an asymptote at x is equal to negative 3, and limit notation specifies that x is approaching to negative 3, but from the right hand side. So on the right hand side, we can see the y is increasing up, so it will be just a positive infinity. So that will be the answer because it is approaching to negative 3. It is not 3 yet because it has the asymptote at negative 3. Same thing with number 2. They said negative 4, but they didn't mention anything about whether it is coming from the positive side or the negative side. And moreover, we cannot factor and cancel out anything. We can factor it, but we cannot cancel out anything. So we don't know from whether they are asking from the positive side or the negative side. So we have the asymptote, so technically this does not exist. So these type of questions, the answer is does not exist, but your teacher is looking for a positive infinity or a negative infinity. But in this case, we cannot write any positive or negative infinity. So you will just write D and E or does not exist. For number 3, so it is negative 2 coming from the positive side. So let's do the direct substitution, but before that, let's identify where the asymptote. So asymptote is at x is equal to negative 2. So we can graph a vertical line, which is dotted line, to represent the asymptote. If we do the direct substitution now, so that will be 3 times negative 2, and then the denominator will be 0. Denominator is zeros because any number divided by 0, it is a positive or a negative infinity. But how to identify whether it's a positive or a negative infinity? So if you look at the limit notation, it says it is coming from the right. Because it is coming from the right, that means it will make the denominator as positive. So write down from the right. So we are taking any number little bit higher than negative 2. So it is a positive denominator but negative numerator, so negative infinity. For number 4, the same scenario, we have the asymptote as x is equal to negative 1. After direct substitution, we are doing the direct substitution to identify how the numerator will behave and how the denominator will behave. Now it is coming from the positive side, so the denominator will be positive. And in this case, the numerator is already positive. So we will say it is positive infinity coming from the right. That's it. So, basically, in these 4 questions, what we have identified, we can say that positive or negative infinity depends on the denominator or the 0 in the denominator, right? Basically, we get the 0 in the denominator and then we try to identify whether it is a positive or a negative, right? So it depends, and whether it's a positive or negative, it will depend whether we are coming from the right or you are coming from the left. So this is the essential part to understand to how to know whether the denominator will be positive or negative, and that will define the whole entire answer. Okay, number 5. Sorry about that. It says x is approaching to negative 3 from the negative, so from the left hand side. So direct substitution will give us a negative numerator, and I need to evaluate what will be the denominator, positive or negative. Now, it is approaching to negative 3. It will slightly be less than negative 3, right? So slightly less than negative 3, that means it can be negative 3.1, negative 3.2. And if I plug that in the denominator, it will give you a negative denominator. Therefore, negative in the numerator, negative in the denominator, that means positive infinity. Number 6. Now, limit is x approaches to -2 from the positive side, or from the right hand side. So direct substitution, I know the numerator is positive. So denominator, what the denominator will be? It is -2 coming from the right. So a little bit bigger than -2. I can take maybe -1.9 squared minus 4. So it will give you a -0 because it will be a little bit less than -4. So two things coming from the right, but the number is negative because x is approaching to -2. So that is why the denominator will be negative. So the answer will be negative infinity because the numerator is positive. Let's quickly solve number 7. If you look at number 7, the x is approaching to 3, but from the left. So if you do the direct substitution here, I think there is a little glitch. It should come. Here you go. So direct substitution. So it will give you -12 over 0. Now the numerator is negative. Now I need to evaluate positive or negative denominator. Because it is coming from the left hand side, I can take a number a little bit smaller than 3, maybe 2.9. And that shows that the denominator will be negative as well. So that defines that the answer will be positive infinity. Number 8, x is approaching to 1. They forgot to mention whether it is coming from the right or coming from the left. So this question is a little bit same as question number 2. So basically we are saying it does not exist. But why it does not exist? Let's take both the scenarios, coming from the right and coming from the left. So x approaches to 1 from the positive side. I know the numerator is negative because it's coming from the right hand side. It will be negative because negative is the numerator but positive denominator. When it is coming from the left, it will turn into a positive infinity because numerator is negative and the denominator is negative as well. And we cannot say that positive infinity is equal to a negative infinity. So it does not exist. Question number 9 is quite interesting because in this, what we can do, we can factor the denominator out, right? It is a quadratic. So limit as x approaches to -2 from the left. If you factor it out in the denominator, you will get x plus 2 times x minus 1. And at this point, I can cross off x plus 2 and x plus 2. And we will rewrite limit as x approaches to -2 from the left, 1 over x minus 1. Now at this point, I'm ready for direct substitution. So we will drop the limit notation. Keep on writing the limit notation till you are ready for direct substitution. That will give you a lovely answer as -1/3. Let's do number 10. Number 10, direct substitution will give you a negative numerator but a 0 denominator because it is coming from the left. That means we are taking a number slightly smaller than -3. So we can take -3.1, right? Because as we go on the number line towards the left, the number tends to decrease. So negative denominator, so negative and negative will become positive, so positive infinity. Number 11 and 12, they are trig related questions. So for the trig related questions, you need to have a good understanding of the unit circle. So let's rewrite it. So instead of writing secant 2x, I can rewrite it as 1 over cos 2x, and 2 is there in the numerator. After this, we can do the direct substitution. That will give you 2 over cos 2 times pi fourths, which is cos pi half. And cos pi half is 0. But I don't know whether it is a positive or negative. So let's go back to the limit notation. It says limit as x approaches to pi fourth from the left. Now, when we are moving on the unit circle, by default, we take positive from the counterclockwise, and negative, that means we are going clockwise, then we take negative, right? So that is why it is a positive infinity, because the denominator will be positive. It says negative, so we are basically going clockwise. And when we go clockwise, it will be a positive denominator. So number 12, I just did the direct substitution first. If you know your unit circle, you know what is tangent 3 pi half. If you don't know how the tangent behave on the unit circle, then you can simplify into sine and cosine. So we can say sine 3 pi half and cos 3 pi half. But it is a very good, it is required in this question to not to write what is tangent 3 pi half from the unit circle, because we need to know how the numerator is behaving and how the denominator is behaving, right? So I know the numerator is negative, but I don't know about the denominator, whether it's positive or negative. If you go to the limit notation, it says 3 pi fourths from the positive side. So from the positive side, it means we are going counterclockwise. So if you go counterclockwise, it will be a positive number. So denominator will be positive, but numerator is negative. So that will be negative infinity. All right, this is how you can solve all of these problems. So this is my explanation of the KutaSoftware worksheet, and keep on practicing these questions because these are nice drills. And I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.